Welcome back to my studio. Colleen with Designs of Value Art. We're going to continue with our Inktense Pencils and our Daffodil. Now, rather than to bore you to tears, I did go ahead and do the center. I added a little bit of yellow to this guy. This guy is just still our first pass. And then I went ahead and I did this one. But this one we're good at. And then now we'll move on. We'll do this small one here next. Now you do have your resource material up in the upper right hand corner, so you can see. But I am going to, because I have the option with these pencils, which I absolutely love. My light is so bright here, I have a hard time seeing my lines. But this is actually a green, which is a stem in the back area. So I'm going to put that in so I know not to go over that with the yellow. And then just looking to see, okay, so we're up here. Just comes down like that. And I'm just going to do the outside line like this so I can see where it is. And then this line here is the base of, if you want to call it, the crown area. Is what that is. So you want to be sure and put that in. You can see that. But it is kind of nice to have a lot of your lines removed because you don't really want them to be too terribly dark. You want to be able to blend in. Okay, I'm just looking to see how far down I go here. So there's the bottom of that one. And actually right up here is a darker area as it goes into the crown area. And aha, this is actually like this. That section is darker. That's what was making me wonder if I had my lines in the right place. So that goes like that. Okay, I think the rest of it we can pretty much figure it out as we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my baked earth again. And actually right on the outside edge of this is this color. That's the leaf coming from the back. And then this, well, actually it comes all the way up like this. And we'll go ahead and put some green on top of this. I did remove some of this green and I added a little bit more yellow, but I had it really, really dark. And I did not want that quite that dark. But this is kind of going to put in a great shading value here without going so dark with the green. We're going to have to add some green, but we don't want to go quite as dark as we did on that one. And it'll be great. Okay. a light cover on there. Now I'm going pretty light. As you can see, I'm not filling in all the nooks and crannies with the pencil, because I just want this to be a shadow. I don't want it to be an entire part of that leaf. I just want it to be a shadow. I've been reading a couple of books, and I think these will be rather interesting for me to start teaching. But for example, if you're doing apple blossom or something on that order, and the majority of an apple blossom is going to be white, but you want to put your shading in first. So you put your shading in, and this dark is dark too. You put your shading in with a gray, and then you can add, if you need to put pink on top, you can. That type of thing. So that'll be fun. I'll start teaching some of those for you. I'm going to just go right over the baked earth that I put down. As you can see, I'm going with the direction of the veins, which is these shadows areas that we put in. So you don't want to start doing this and this, because then you're, even though you wet it down, you're still going to have some lines in there, and it's not going to look correct. So you want to go with the vein area. Go with the direction of the veins, I should say. Now this section is pretty light as it comes around. Now you do want to go over the brown. There we go. But with any white flower, you would always put your vein or your shadows in first with your grays. Mix your own gray. Neutral tint is a fine color, but it's kind of dead. It's like a black. If you don't mix your own black, you're gonna have a dead looking whatever you're painting. Hopefully you're not putting black on flowers, but some people do. Okay, now I'm going to take the green, which is the leaf green. I'm going to darken in the inside corner. So I want that to be the darkest of the green, just like that. Then I'm going to pick up a lighter green, which is apple green. And fill in the other portion. I'm going to go right over the green with this too, and then they'll blend together as you add the water, of course. Okay, so that'll be pretty. Now I'm going to take the leaf green and we'll go over some of these darker areas in here. Again, very lightly. Don't let it take over the entire shadow. You want some of that baked earth to show through. So I'm just gently putting this on. It's actually going to be more so in this area, I think, than any of the areas on this petal. But I'm still not going to go crazy with the heaviness of it. Okay, so we got that one filled in. Now let's go ahead and do actually this one. It's a little bit smaller. I'm going to change my resource material here so I can see it a little bit better. Also, if you do want to see more content like this, please let me know in my comments. Hit the like button, let YouTube know that you do like this type of content, and then you can also check me out right at patreon.com/Colleen D. Aiken, and you'll see me teach all these skills step by step. So we got a lot of different options there. I'm going to put down my green. I don't want to go crazy with that right away. And pick up the baked earth. Now this one actually goes over this, but up in this corner up here by the inside of the crown, just gonna look at that. Yeah, it comes up in here. It is the baked earth color. So I'm just going to go right around that crown like that so we don't lose track of where it is. It's important to not make that 100% yellow as you want to do. You want it to stand out. And some of this is lighter in the baked earth, but it is in there. And the yellow will go over this too. Just going to continue right around. And let's see. It does come up to about here, doesn't it? My light is so bright, it's very difficult to see that line work. Some of this is like this too. Yeah. Okay, now, so this is lighter up here, actually right down this edge. Okay. And then from here down. And then we're going to go over it with the green because it does look like green in the picture, but there again, I don't want to lose control of that green. Just kind of throwing in some of these darker shadows with this pencil first. Doing the outside line so I can tell where the petal is. There we go. And there's a shadow there. There's a shadow up here. That's pretty much all you really need to do with these is pick out your shadows. Now this one's actually a little darker. I don't want to go crazy dark with this quite yet, just because I do want the yellow to go over it, and then just to softly add in the green. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to sharpen my yellow pencil. That's because I've been bearing down with it pretty hard. Hopefully I can find a small sharpener. Did I bring it down? I guess maybe I didn't. So we'll try this big one here. Got to be careful, these pencils are wider than most of these sharpeners, so you don't want to get them stuck in there, which I've done. So if you do, don't feel bad. Thought I had brought a sharpener down. Still kind of looking around here. I guess I did not, so we'll continue with it just as it is. It's not that big a deal. Okay. Now here again, even with the yellow, you don't need to go real dark. But each one of these petals is gonna, I mean, I could do it as a base coat, but this way is much easier because I can actually tell where my shadows are going to be and where the outside edge of that petal is. So I like that for sure. And don't forget, when you add the water, it'll blend it all in. Okay, let's go to the green. And the green's going to be pretty much in this area here. And again, don't go crazy. It's amazing how controlling that green can be. Over, it's kind of like a, it's kind of like the blue values. The blue values can really take over when you're mixing your colors too. So, and this is made up of yellow and blue, no doubt. Okay, let's see if there's any, not too much green up there, so we're going to just ignore that. There we go. I think we're pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and wet those two, and then there's a little bit of green over here, not crazy. When we come back, then I'll have this one filled in, and then we'll just have the crown to do in the center. I'll get the veining in, or the stem. All right, start up here. I'm going to skip that little green leaf for now, so I want to get these values in here without a lot of green being carried all over. So I'm going to just skip that until the end. Even when you stroke on your water, follow your vein lines. just going to end up looking a lot more realistic if you do that. And don't get your brush so wet that it floods, because if it floods, you're going to have a hard time controlling that color, because this color is very strong. So I like to put just a little bit of water down, and then I can always add more water in if I need it. I'm going right around that shadow area for now, just trying to get the yellow. Taken care of first, and then we're not dragging any of these other colors into the yellow. You want that to be a nice vibrant yellow. If you can keep it that way, it's the best. All right, so now we can do a little bit more on these. Didn't add a whole ton of water there. It's really starting to look nice though. So I get my brush wet and I end up wiping both sides of my brush off onto my cloth, because I just don't want that brush to be dripping as I go to the petal. Blend this in a little bit better so it doesn't look like a little half moon like it does right now. That's better. Okay, let's move on to this next yellow one here. Up in the darker corner, so it's going to be a little bit more of the brown earth than the yellow, which is what exactly we wanted. I like these filbert brushes because they stroke real nice on the Inktense pencil work that we have down here. Still get those rounded edges because the filbert has got rounded edges on it, so it's going to be a soft petal, but this is a nice little brush for this type of work. I like it. I'm just moving my board as I need it so I can get at it. I'm just going around the darker areas for now again. It's just to get that yellow in there as intense as we can and not blending a lot of yellow out. There we go, we're getting there. Now we can go back in and blend in some of these darker shades to the yellow, and you're not going to lose that intensity of that yellow by doing it this way. Now with that one, my brush was a little dry there, but You should be able to just move it right down and not lose control of those darker colors on that yellow at all. So by doing that, it blends it in real nice. You keep the outside line of your shadow. But you don't lose control of like that green either. And then you can always go back with the tip of your brush and just soften it in if you want to. Wherever it's probably a little bit darker, like this area. Just taking the tip of my brush and softening it in so it doesn't get a harshness to it. That looks better. Great. Soften in those edges. It's almost like wet on dry is the technique here. You lay it down with wet watercolor and then just soften that edge to let it blend in so you don't have a harsh edge. This is a really good way to think about that, what we're doing here. And then you'll really see a difference when we do the next layer. And I'm just going back over some of the areas that I darkened just to make sure they don't overtake everything like that first one I did. But that's how you learn. You got to make a mistake like this to be able to learn how to correct it. Now, since this one is completely dry, put some more yellow on this. There is some more yellow in here. Actually, all the way around the outside edge of this one. There's some over here, and then this edge has some. And I'm going to just soften those in too with the brush. And I might have to do that a couple more times too, just to soften that one in a little bit more. Okay. Now we can go back and do that little green leaf. What I did was I put the dark in the inside, so we're going to start there. Get that moist, but I don't want to drag it all the way out and lose this light value green either. So I got that wet, but I didn't drag it all the way out. And now that I've got both colors wet, now I can soften it with the tip of my brush. And I want to get that outside edge wet too and bring that in to soften that edge. And again, this is just the first layer on this too. Okay. We don't want that to be completely dark. So I'm just going to turn this around so I can see it. Yeah, that should be good. We'll leave it like this for now. Soften that darker edge like that. And I can see right now we're going to want to add some more of that apple green in there too. So we'll let this go until next time. I'm going to go ahead and do this in the stem, which I think by watching what I've been doing here, you should be able to go ahead and do that. And then we'll tackle the crown. And we'll see about the background, what we want to do there as well. So I'll see you then.